So I'm just going to take a very classical example of a statistical learning problem. So the classical example is here. So I have a spreadsheet. It's basically containing several columns of data. So these several columns of data, one particular row corresponds to a product that a sales department wants to sell. And the B, C, and D columns represent how much money they spend in TV advertising, how much money they spend on radio advertising, and how much money they spend on newspaper advertising. The E-axis, the E column represents how much sales actually is achieved after spending all this money in advertising. So let's actually, this is a simple CSV file, and you can basically double click that in MATLAB and you can import that. So I want to import that as column vectors. So I get each of these column as a variable. Okay, and I just click import, and it says the following variables are imported into MATLAB. So I get all of these as, you can see I have 200 products. So they are, all of these are 200 by 1 variables. So for example, if I want to plot, first of all, I can do a histogram of the sales, which is finally what I care about. I get a histogram like this. So if you have no other variables and consider the number of sales as completely random, completely non-controllable, this is what you have to use as uncertain data, right? You probably want to fit a distribution out of this, and if your product depends on how much units you sell, you are going to be doing Monte Carlo simulation based on this. But we do have several control variables, right? How much money we spend on each of these advertising channels. So for example, which one do you think is probably most useful? TV? Okay, let's plot TV and sales. And let's put that each variable is a dot. So this is what we get. Oh, you don't see that very well. Let me represent each one as a circle. Okay, just yeah. Okay, this is better, right? Okay. So this is all these data points. You can now see that a little bit better, right? Okay, and we do see a very obvious trend, right? Although there is also still a lot of scatter, especially on the high end. So basically, if you don't spend any money on TV, you probably don't get much sales. But even if you spend a lot of money, it's going to be better, but still you get a huge uncertain range. So similarly, if you plot other things like a radio, you also get a pretty clear trend, right? And if you spend on newspaper, the trend is less clear, right? So this is the kind of data we usually get as input of statistical modeling. All right. So what do we do out of this?